What we have today is we have someone in Buffalo, in Erie County from Buffalo, New York. The way I came across her story was that she had posted something about issues that she was having with her local, state, and I'd like to say federal government because I know that she's reached out to them. And what caught my attention was that her plea was for us to hear her out, but also to determine if she wasn't crazy. And quite honestly, after reviewing it and making initial contact with her, she's not crazy. And the person I'm referring to is Rachel Eckert. She's going to appeal to us with a story that I think is very important because something like this should have been known, should have been in the news because of the insanity behind what's going on. Rachel, if you can briefly tell us why you posted that, what I would hope would be a viral video of the situation that you're in. Please take the floor.
Yes, hi. Well, thanks for having me. And what I posted was a video about me being targeted and arrested by a Buffalo City Court judge, Philip Dabney, which came shortly after me posting to social media evidence of corruption, theft of ARP funds, which is federal tax dollars, and other public funding that we have here in the state of New York. So I want to say I started posting at the end of June, and I still kind of am posting just because I don't feel like my speech should be chilled. I have a right to speak out freely. Well, um, July 4th of this year, 2025, I also made a direct post about Judge Philip Dabney being involved in the Unity Coalition network. Unity Coalition it's a organization that was founded by Arthur O. Eve back in 1995, and it's been operating illegally in the state of New York. Um, so I started posting about that. And shortly after I made that post about Judge Philip Dabney, I received a summons in the mail. And the summons was signed by Judge Dabney. And it said that I was being brought to court for housing violations. So when I originally got the summons, it didn't say anything about criminal stuff.
So, Rachel, I've got to ask, what led you to go down this rabbit hole when it comes to the Unity Coalition? You had mentioned that this had to do with election campaign funding, right? So,
Yes.
what triggered that? How did you come across and say, hey, I want to look into this? Because most people, I mean, we know that there's contributors to a lot of the election campaigns, and we just kind of like assume that there are th- methods in place to curtail anything that would be considered illegal. But you stumbled onto something here. Please tell us how you came about that.
So I've actually been targeted since 2020. This has been an ongoing issue. My neighbor, who is actually part of Unity Coalition Inc., um, is very politically connected. And she's pulled guns on me. She's cut the exhaust pipe off my house, gave me and my children carbon monoxide poisoning. She has caused over $10,000 in damages. I have a Supreme Court order that says she has to allow my contractors to maintain and work on my home without interference, and also giving them access to her driveway to work on my home. But she just continuously interferes with that.
You don't have an easement to be here. Yes, I do. Hey!
There's no, I can't get anybody, police, judges, to enforce that order. So this most recent incident in October, when she pulled the gun out on my contractors, was completely let off on it. So I started looking back into Unity Coalition to find out why I'm being obstructed. And that's when I uncovered a bunch of very questionable and corrupt kind of, excuse me, issues. So Unity Coalition has contributed to and has received money from several Erie County Democratic Committee candidates.
Any that you can?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So they have contributed and received money significantly from people like Senator April Baskin, Howard Johnson, who is a legislator, Buffalo City Court judges, Philip Dabney, Samuel Davis, Gary Wilson, Craig Hanna, Rebecca Town, Kathy Hochul, same thing, Jeremy Zellner, who is our Board of Elections commissioner. And what was very interesting about these payments is that when Unity Coalition was contributing to these campaigns, they're contributing under 4 different umbrellas. One is a nonprofit,
Okay.
one is a PAC committee, one is a corporation, and one as a partnership.
Well,
And
isn't that normal? I mean, no. Oh,
no, and
what
the
is the
reason,
discrepancy?
yeah, so I started reading on the contribution limits, and apparently New York State has contribution limits. Like, I believe a corporation can only contribute up to $5,000 to a campaign. And so the way that Unity has been working is that they're contributing as different entity types to work around those contribution limits. So they'll contribute 5,000 as a corporation, they'll contribute thousands as a nonprofit, thousands as a PAC committee, and so forth.
Sounds like a slush fund.
Mm-hmm. And then more interesting is, so I have a financial background. I am a tax professional and accountant, so I know a lot of rules and regulations that play into this. I went on to the Internal Revenue's website to their tax exempt organizations to look up and look into Unity Coalition. Well, Unity Coalition does not exist as a nonprofit with an Internal Revenue Service, despite making these contributions to certain campaigns in the state of New York and reporting them as a nonprofit.
And folks, I can validate that what she's saying is true, because prior to this podcast, she had shared these links, gave me instructions on how to find the status of Unity Coalition. And guess what? They don't exist as a nonprofit. So she's not crazy. You could do it yourself and you'll see it. Please continue, Rachel.
So when I got this summons in the mail and I noticed that Judge Dabney signed it, I filed a complaint on August 6th with the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. It's supposed to be an independent oversight committee. Well, exactly 7 days later on August 13th, then Judge Dabney entered me into WebCrims, which is it's a public website that you can go on to see criminals.
Right.
So Judge Dabney entered me into the system and it generated an arraignment letter. So I'm going to be arraigned on criminal violations of housing code. And the interesting thing about that is, yes, I see. Again, this.
Rachel, yeah, my expression says it all. And I do apologize for that, because when I was a homeowner, I mean, HOA violations wouldn't have ended me, or I would not have ended up in jail. But the fact that you're being arraigned on housing violations. Now, early you said that there is an organization, or I guess it's a county international maintenance.
Yes. So, so when I got this paperwork for the arraignment, I went on WebCrims to see what I was being charged with.
Okay.
And I was being charged under New York State International Maintenance Property Codes. So I had went to the International Maintenance Codes to see, how I could be charged, and it says is that you could be charged for a violation. And so then what I did is I looked up the statute of limitations for a violation, which is 1 year. And here's where it gets interesting. So Judge Dabney backdated my arrest date to March 6th of 2025 for an incident in January of 2022. I was arrested for snow removal, even though I showed you the pictures, there was a clear pathway. I was arrested for my neighbor's garbage cans. I, which is very interesting because our city charter gives us until 8 p.m. on the day of garbage day to put our garbage cans back.
Right.
And even if they weren't my neighbor's garbage cans, the pictures the city sent me were on a Monday, which is our garbage day pickup at 11 o'clock in the morning. So if I have until 8 p.m. at night, how am I being cited at 11 o'clock in the morning for a violation that doesn't exist?
Considering that you have until 8 p.m. to comply.
Yes.
And the picture that you sent me shows that you were in compliance.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound normal, that's for sure. So obviously you're being targeted.
Yes.
And here's a question that people are going to ask. So you've gone through the system, you've gone to the city, local, and state system to lodge your complaints, right? Your petitions.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so what's the outcome? Why is this continuing to go on if you've exercised your right to petition the courts to bring resolution? What's going on?
I'm pro se. I don't have a lawyer. I have actually reached out to well over 60 lawyers between the city of Buffalo and the city of Rochester. They all tell me that I definitely have a case, but due to a conflict of interest, they can't help me.
But the judge who was arraigning you hasn't reclused himself, right? Recused himself.
No, these lawyers I called not in reference to this current arrest. They've actually done this to me. This is the fourth time they've done this to me now. So I filed a federal lawsuit for constitutional rights violations, deprivation of property rights, First Amendment retaliation. But I can't find a lawyer that doesn't have a conflict. So when I go to court on Monday and I'm arraigned, I'm going to end up with a public defender that works for the very people that have been for the last 5 years depriving me of every right that I am supposed to be guaranteed a protection under the Constitution, both state and federal.
So going back, what I had mentioned earlier, why hasn't the judge, who obviously has a conflict of interest issue, not recused himself in your case? Because actually he's going to be presiding over your case, right?
Yes. And it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable because I I haven't just been talking about Judge Philip Dabney since this year. I have actually been publicly speaking about stuff like this since 2020, but I'm not a criminal, so they've never been able to charge me or arrest me with anything legitimate. So they saw that I have or that there was some kind of property code issue. So I'm assuming they just went digging for something to be able to charge me. And it's very concerning because this is not a very usual matter. There's only been 4 people in the city of Buffalo that were criminally charged with housing violations, and they were landlords who were violating public health laws and that were repeatedly missing housing court, had repeated housing violations, and so forth. So even though they're not supposed to do stuff, doesn't mean they won't. And when I go to court Monday, it's not something that I should be held on bail or that I should be held for any reason, but that doesn't mean that that's not what's going to happen, especially given the history and the background of this.
So, Rachel, there's options. I'm pretty sure. The one that comes to mind is, why haven't you gone to the FBI?
Well, I have tried. When I call the FBI, I'm told I'm not allowed to call them, and I get immediately hung up on.
What do you mean you're not allowed to call them? They're public servants.
Well, I'm not sure. So what I did is I filed a FOIA.
Okay.
I filed a FOIA request to request any documents that they have as to why I'm obstructed or blacklisted from contacting the FBI. And I was told it's going to take over 1,000 days to give me an answer.
1,000 days. That's just long enough for the next election. Sounds like.
Yeah. Yep.
Wait. Wow. You're
So,
not crazy. I'm crazy because I'm hearing that the FBI hangs up on you. They've blacklisted you. They're public servants that you pay taxes for so they can do their job, and they're not helping you.
yeah.
Are there dots here that need to be connected?
So, well, it gets even very more interesting. So I appealed the FBI's saying that they would take 1,000 days. I asked for it to be expedited because one, I'm having guns pulled on me. I've been assaulted 3 times. I've had property damage. I've had death threats since I came out publicly with this information. And my PII, my personal identifiable information, was given to my neighbor by a government official. My daughter's medical records were given to my neighbor by a government official. They used it to make a false CPS report against me. It was closed and unfounded. And so I cited this all to the appeals department saying, look, I need these records before 1,000 days. I need to know why I can't call the FBI when all of this is happening. And these are federal violations. And so I haven't gotten a response for that yet, and I'm hoping to get one soon.
Well, it sounds to me like this is retribution because you found information which, without a doubt, is corruption, misuse of funds, misappropriation of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Your government up there in Buffalo. Now, you had mentioned Kathy Hochul, so, I was cringing when you mentioned her name because I'm a former New Yorker, and thank goodness I wasn't in New York under her governance, but she's a real piece of work. Just to say it, lightly, she's a piece of work. And, it seems like every legal avenue that you turn seems to point to Unity Coalition, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned April Haskins. What is her connection to Unity Coalition? Is there?
Yes. So April Baskins has received thousands of dollars in contributions from Unity. April Baskins also is very good friends with my neighbor. Back in 2020, my neighbor assaulted me with an electric sawzall. I had witnesses, and another neighbor of mine actually hopped a fence to pull her off of me. Well, when the police got here, my neighbor told one of the police officers that she's part of Unity Coalition and that she's good friends with April Baskins and that they need to charge me. So the officer charged me. He then deleted his body camera footage, which I got that information through a FOIA request. He also tampered with the witness information that the witnesses that had talked to him and gave them their information. He gave the district attorney some information to somebody that doesn't even live in the state of New York in an address that's not even here in the state of New York. I found that out through discovery. And after that, I had found a post on April Baskin's Facebook page where She posted something about Sheriff Howard. Now, this was in 2019, so before the 2020 incident. And she posted something about Sheriff Howard in an advisory board. And my neighbor went on to her post and said, "Let me know if you need the Hellraisers to enter the building." And then Ron Dixon, who is a community police officer, commented back to her saying, "Yes, we do." And so then my neighbor commented back, "Bet I'm in." When I shared that information to social media, April Baskins then went and tried to delete those comments, which I screen recorded it. So now if you look at her post, it says she has 26 or 27 comments, but 3 of them are missing. And it's the 3 between my neighbor and the community police officer and my neighbor again.
Sounds like there's a lot of corruption going on in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So, you know, my audience is going to ask, why not just give up? What is you to pursue this? I mean, by all means, you have every right to pursue it because you're part of We the People, and obviously you spotted a wrong and you're trying to make it right. But everything that you're going through, I mean, your family, your house, yourself, and these attacks, you have to go to court. Why do you pursue this?
So I was a first-time home buyer. When I bought my house, I did get a first-time home buyer grant, and I got my home right before the pandemic. It was affordable. Okay. My home needs to be fixed. Me and my children have been living in some conditions that have affected our health. I've been sick every day. My daughter's been diagnosed with asthma, and my other daughter has daily headaches. So I can't afford, the housing market has skyrocketed, and so have interest rates. I don't have the funds to just be able to walk away and pay a mortgage at this house, plus then also buy another house. It's impossible for me to do that. The only way for me to be able to fix my house is to fight, because if I don't fight, I can't fix the house. I already have a court order. Nobody enforces it. I try to get my home fixed. Guns get pulled on the contractors. Then the city uses the property code against me because it's impossible to fix it to arrest me. This is very unfair. It's discriminatory. It's abuse of power. It's abuse of funds. And like I said, if I can't fix my house, I have nowhere else to go with my children.
No, I can only imagine, and a lot of sympathy, obviously. But I mean, you're a courageous woman, patriotic. I got to tell you.
Thank you.
And anybody who's willing to go up against, you know, their local, state, federal government, they're patriotic, especially if, you know, you're trying to get answers. But it seems like when you mentioned April Haskins, Baskin, excuse me, Kathy Hochul, you mentioned quite a few names, a who's of Democrats. Now, I know this is not political because you haven't even hinted that this is political. However, this has to do a lot more with corruption. It's unfortunate that those involved in this corruption are politicians, people that have been voted into those offices to serve people like you. And it looks like they're serving you on the worst end of the plate. Sorry to say. Now, my hat's off to you because you haven't given up. And that is like one of the main reasons why when I saw your video, I had to talk to you. I sent you a message and I said, hey, DM me. I want to know your story. Now, I have about 80,000 followers that will probably be interested in this story. But I wanted to have more impact than it just being an interest story. I wanted to have the impact that people are going to make it go viral and that the media or maybe some officials in Buffalo start asking fucking questions. Sorry for my cursing.
It's okay.
This is not right. Okay. Look, I like to bash on politicians. I like to bash on these social justice warriors. But when the little people, we the people, get picked on, I draw the line. All that other stuff can take a back seat. Your story becomes priority for me, and I'm pretty sure it will for other people. Now, on our second segment, we're going to go into details of the links that you gave me that goes back to Unity Coalition and the IRS. These are things that you mentioned. You sent me videos, you sent me documents. On the next part, we're going to go over that. And I feel that this is the ammunition that will fire up people to get behind you, because Monday is just a couple of days away.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, we can't leave you to the mercy of these corrupt politicians and judges, obviously. All you did was what any good citizen would do. Hey, you're trying to save taxpayer dollars, because it's obvious that we have organizations here, possibly politicians all the way on up, that are pilfering the taxpayers, and they're targeting you. And then they have someone who's probably getting a kickback. They're using her as a hellraiser against you. No,
Yeah.
that's not right.
It's funny you say going all the way up, because just back in February, Senator Chuck Schumer was endorsing Unity Coalition. And like I said, Unity Coalition was founded by Arthur O'Eve, a New York State Assemblyman. So this organization's been around for a good 20 years. And it's like, these are all of my representatives. And how do I complain about things that are going on within the Unity Coalition network to the very people that are benefiting from it?
It's pretty funny that you mentioned Chuck Schumer, because he's supposed to be, the warrior, of his constituents, regardless whether they're conservatives, liberals, or whatnot. This is a guy who waves that banner that he's going to be there, and he's ignoring you. And if you connect him with Unity Coalition, look, the guy's corrupt. I don't like him. I refer to him as man boobs. Anyway, but wow, you're up against a wall. And me, I personally feel that you're undergoing a lot. And this story needs to be handled by someone like James O'Keefe. He's from OMG. He's an undercover journalist. He's exposed Acorn. He's exposed quite a bit. He's exposed corruption. And, I'm hoping that maybe he'll see this. Maybe I'll ask you to confidently contact him, his media group, because they're very good. They expose things that, wow, it's not laughable. It's very serious, because it seems like his organization seems to go out of their way to bring stories like yours up front where it needs to be. I'm hoping I can contribute to doing that on your behalf publicly with the people that visit my page, because, like I said, your story really, really got me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you were saying, hey, I want people to hear my story because I'm not crazy. Rachel Eckert, you're not crazy.
Thank you. I get a lot of people telling me I am.
And I look forward to part 2, okay?
So do I.
All right, so we'll talk to you shortly.
Okay, take care. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.